Hello, Leo couples. This is Grand Madam with your reconciliation after the third party affair has ended. I'm doing something a little different. I'm taking a whole different perspective here. I'm throwing in what happens with couples who are in reconciliation during the aftermath of the third party affair. Reconciliation is never easy. Most reconciliations fail. That's why I want to give you clarity about what's going on in your relationships, and I leave the rest up to you. Okay? I'm using the Dark Goddess deck to kick things off because we need to find out exactly what shadows we're dealing with. I have them pre-shuffled. I have Kali. This is the card of destruction. Kali has a very Plutonian effect, much like the Death card. When she comes through, the entire situation is turned to cinders. It is completely destroyed so that you have a level playing field. And now you can start over again. Kali is not pleasant. Kali is painful. But when she finishes destroying what no longer serves you, then you can decide first whether you want to rebuild or move on, okay? Or go somewhere else. Now, the next card is disturbing to me. This is Sheila Nagate. This is a card of desperation. Someone in this group is functioning from a point of desperate energy. Now, let me explain something to you about this desperation. This comes from giving all of you to situations time after time after time after time again and getting very little back. What you are experiencing is an energy loss, a profound energy loss. When we give our energy, our love is energy, to another, we're giving it, expecting it to be returned. Just like you're giving money away, you expect it to be returned to you. But what happens when it's not returned? You become drained. Some of us have become drained to the point where now we are desperate to receive this energy from the first thing that comes along that looks like we can get that energy back. And that's what's happened. So what this card is telling you is that you're working from an energy deficit, and you will be literally trying to get yourself fulfilled by the first thing that comes along, and that's a no-no. Now, the way you prevent that is basically you sit still, your eyes open, and you hold your hands out. You can either hold them out like this. I like holding them out like this. And you ask God, Goddess, whatever you believe in, and if you don't believe in deities, ask the universe or source to send you love. You will feel an energy coming through your palms. Then you'll feel it coming through your entire body from above. That's love energy. Sit there with your hands up, or you can do it like this, extend them all the way. You can sit or you can stand. And once you start feeling that energy coming into you, for the first time in a very, very long time, you will be fulfilled. So you will no longer go out looking for love, because you will realize love is an energy, and it does not necessarily come from other people. Once you have been fulfilled energetically with love, or infused with love from the source, God, Goddess, Anybody else's love is an extra, but it is definitely not the main meal. It's something you can take or leave with a thank you, and then you can go on with your life. You will no longer be feeling, thinking, or taking actions from a place or point of need ever again. You can do this exercise. It's very simple, as many times as you need to do it. As soon as you see that text or that number come up, that's the same old BS, and you throw your hands up. And that way you become very self-contained and powerful. And when I say self-contained, you will know that you are your own love. Okay? Now, let me say this. Family has returned, so I am sharing space, and you will be hearing noises in the background. Please just ignore them. They're not distracting me, and I do not want them to distract you. Moving right along, the next card is endurance. I just gave you the key to your endurance. And the key to your endurance is your love, self-love. Okay? Self-contained. Love from the gods. Love from source. That's where your endurance will come from. That's where your confidence will come from. Your confidence will be returned. You will feel like a whole being again. Okay. And then there's Mama Brigitte, the voodoo goddess, who speaks of redemption and making amends. Someone is due an apology in the Leo couples reconciliation group. Someone has to make an apology also. And finally, eats papawato. Eats papawato. Took me some time to learn how to say that. Now I like saying it. Talks about purification. And with this, that means as a couple, you need to purge all negativity from your relationship. And before you can do that, you've got to purge the negativity out of yourself. Okay? That exercise I just showed you, that energy exercise, is excellent to do that. You can release. Just release. Okay? And it won't hurt you to look it up. Energy exercises for releasing negativity. You can Google that. Now, we're going to move forward and find out what is the status of your reconciliation at this point. I'm using the after deck. So, and there's nothing wrong with you doing that exercise while I do this shuffling or this reading, okay? Because that is very critical. Okay? So what is the status of the Leo couple's reconciliation here? What's going on during with their reconciliation? What are the blessings? What are the challenges? Ooh, almost dropped the whole deck. A lot of activity, a lot of energy here. Someone doing that exercise? Okay. One more shuffle and we're good to go. Spirit says no more shuffles, meaning we're good to go. All right. Someone is becoming empowered. And this is interesting because after the destruction of the relationship, someone finally came into their own. One partner desperately wanted to fight for their family situation, their 9 of Cups. It ended up brokenhearted over some. Yes. Now, let's look at this. Okay. Oh. I'll hold off on that. Under destruction, under Kali, I have a single independent person who has joined partnerships, made the judgment call. There's also the card of judgment. to create this partnership that went, oh my God, it went south. It went south. Someone was in a relationship and they were trying to be single at the same time. Another, one of the partners in this Leo couple was desperate. What did I tell you about that? Desperate for their Ten of Cups. I'm going to show it to you. Let's try to fan it out here. You were desperate for the happiness a Ten of Cups could bring, but you found heartache instead with the Three of Swords. And you found heartache instead because you hooked up with the wrong person. This is the Devil card. It could be Capricorn. It could just be someone who's got addictions. It could be codependent. It could be anything that would literally destroy a relationship. And that's what came to your attention. Here's the Sun card. In this case, it's not necessarily happiness, but illumination. It could have been illuminated that someone was definitely toxic or that you were toxic and things just did not work out. Now, we have endurance, justice, the Page of Wands, and the Ace of Cups. So now someone is in a position, have positioned themselves defensively where they can ward off gossips, haters, and bad partners. So it's bad actors, beware. Now this is the card, Justice. It could represent Libra, but it's representing fair play and balance. It can also represent a lawsuit. So at this point, you are balancing yourselves out. You want to be fair to one another. And this is the Page of Wands. This talks about some idea, a spark of an idea to create something, a book, business, anything, to create whatever. But this is also the type of inspiration that can create a riot. Okay? But in this case, someone wants to create a new love. Where there's redemption, we have someone leaving the home. Here's the Knight of Wands, Sagittarius energy. And this horse is galloping away from the home. For some of you, you were engaged and they were galloping away from the wedding. After reviewing, here, 7. Yep, 7-7. This is a spiritual number too. After reviewing your relationship, you discovered it was cheating from day one. Lies, deception, cheating from day one. And some of you want apologies for that. I would suggest you not wait. Even during a reconciliation, I suggest you don't wait for it. Don't get hung up on that. Now, under purification, purification is the release of what's toxic. We still have indecision, Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords right next to it is the Six of Swords. Six of Swords is trying to find a place of peace. But when you add Two of Swords to Six of Swords, we have what? 8 swords. So there seems to still be some consternation over what went on. And the biggest puzzle piece to that is the unfairness of it all when it came to finances. This is the Six of Pentacles. Now this Six of Pentacles is supposed to be about balance. When I read it, I see it as a need for balance, financial balance. It doesn't have to be financial. It can be emotional. Because emotion in a love relationship, a romantic relationship, the currency is romance and love. Someone, as I spoke of before, was doing all the giving while someone else was doing all the taking. And that's got to stop. And this is probably the person who was doing all the giving, the Queen of Cups. She is the most nurturing, loving queen, Cancer. Scorpio, Pisces. And she lives through her emotion. She thrives on emotion. Therefore, it is critical for her not just to give emotion, to give love, but to receive it as well. And if she cannot receive love from an individual, it's time for her to go on. Time for her to go on. That means she's with the wrong person. Alrighty? Now, pretty much what we have is someone who's learning the lessons, or someone's who's learning the lessons of self-love. This whole thing of needing to be loved has turned into a major fiasco, a very emotional one that created a great deal of suffering. So, let's see what the cards reunion after the cheating deck has to say. What needs to be said? Leo couples, what needs to be said? So basically, Spirit wanted me to summarize. I thought I had. Feeling the need to be loved. Someone entered into a relationship. And let me say something else. Spirit's reminding me. Everything is energy. Our thoughts are energy. Our emotions are energy. That energy communicates to the universe what we expect in our lives. Did you hear that? Our energy, our emotional energy, our thinking energy, our mental energy communicates to the universe, that universal computer that helps us create our reality, what we expect our lives to be. So if you expect not to be loved because you haven't been loved back before, the universe will send you people, places, and things who will enter your life seemingly with love, but who will not love you. The universe will send you the takers because you have not learned to love yourself. When you say things like, I wonder if this is going to work, or this won't work, or what is the other one? Men are no good. Those kind of thoughts create that reality for you. The key is to learn to absorb that loving energy from Source itself to make you whole, and not from another person. When you look for love outside of yourself, all you get is calamity. That's one spiritual principle you don't hear too much about, but I think the knowledge is really being spread these days. It has to be. So this whole notion of romance, you know where it came from? It came from Europe, the Cavalier days, where when you had the bards who would you might see in a movie stand outside the damsel or the maiden, not maiden, yeah, the maidens, beautiful young maiden's window and play a tune or read poetry. The reality check on that is this: that bard himself, a bard is a musician, an artist, blah blah blah. That bard was standing outside the window of a married woman. His function was to entice her to enter into a sexual relationship with him. Or he was sent to entice the married woman into the bed of another, the person who sent him. Somebody, and yes, somebody, some other person, some other man, if he wasn't the bard himself, would send a bard, pay for the services of a bard to stand outside of this person's window while the husband, which was probably somebody in the gentry or royalty, while the husband was away, to entice the wife, not girlfriend. The bard was not there for a girlfriend. The bard was there for someone else's wife. And that's the kind of stuff we are accepting in our lives as romance. The romance was never meant for the single woman, it was meant for the married woman, and was used as a lure to cheat on her husband. I bet you won't find that in history books. Moving right along. You see how we got so screwed up? Knowing the history of a thing is very important. Right now, I'm studying up on the history of bachelorhood in the United States. And honey, it ain't what you think it is. The last thing in the world you want to be in American society is a bachelor or bachelorette. And now that I know, I think I'm ready to get married again. Okay, let's see what. Let's see. For Leo couples, what needs to be said? What needs to be said? So if you didn't, thinking of the romantic bard, that tells you that actual love is something other than romance. What needs to be said? What needs to be said? What needs to be said? Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Hold on here. hmm Okay. Leo couples. This isn't hard. Delays and false starts. You're having delays and false starts and with your reconciliation because someone is still codependent. Someone is still looking for love elsewhere. And this is how I know. Here are the issues: codependency, obsession, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, and hip hop. And or hip hop. No, I'm not blaming rock and roll and hip hop. But the obsessive sex, and the alcohol and the drugs put you in a state of illusion. And as long as you indulge, if you overindulge, you are definitely living in an illusion. And that's a problem because you're not dealing with reality. The goal, loving bliss, the reality is a mature love, the maturity of love. Some of you are taking action and working on your shadow self, working on this codependence thing. Others have other serious addictions, like I said, the sex, the drugs, and you've got to work on that. From the cheater, you were never supposed to know. Reality check. This is what I'm talking about. Of course you're going to know. Everybody knows eventually. Always. The first person to feel it is your partner. The partner. And now we're dealing with the sex and lies that are keeping us apart, which means, try some healing music. And your silence is another lie. So someone is holding back some lies, still lying, not saying that needs to be said. And the person who was cheated on in the Leo couple says, I know you still love him and her, which is why we have the silence and the moodiness and the emotional withdrawal in the reconciliation, which is normal. Which is normal. Here, Spirit wants you to consciously connect with Source. And you can consciously connect with Source by doing that energy work. Okay? So, Moonology deck. Let's see what the Moonology deck can offer you for advice. So, what do you have for the Leo couples in reconciliation after the aftermath of third party affair? What's here? What's here? One more shuffle. What spirit? That's right. On that, spirit and I agree this time. Mm. No, you told me too late, spirit. All right. Waxing moon, the energy is gaining momentum. The fights are beginning to increase. Don't let full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. Start working with those energy exercises. Maybe that will lessen the need to fight and give you what you need to see about the relationship, about the reconciliation, and take action from that point. In the meantime, the Moonology deck is suggesting that you hold on to your vision of that happy family situation that you wanted, okay? Because now you're in a position where you literally have to fight emotionally to get there. At the bottom of the deck, full moon in Libra, a win-win outcome is forecast. You're going to have to fight your way through this. Leo couples, you're going to have to fight your way through this. And if you can't do it alone, seek counseling, couples therapy. They have a whole new specialty now called affair recovery for couples who are experiencing reconciliations after an affair. Okay? This is Grand Madam wishing you much love and great health and strength.